Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So happy Sunday. Or is it? Because unfortunately, we have some bad news. It does look like there's a lot of worry about FTX Alameda Research, Sam Bankman-Fried, and how they may be insolvent. Even CZ of Binance is making moves. So what does this mean exactly? Let's talk about it, and let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin and what to look forward to next week. So welcome, guys. Happy Sunday. I'll let you get back to your football as soon as I'm over with this. I mean, I think a lot of you guys know, ever since about, 4 or 5 days ago, earlier this week, or I should say last week, it's been reported that Alameda Research, which is the research arm or investment arm for Sam Bankman-Fried, for FTX. I mean, there's a very close ties, but no one knew how close the ties were. But there was a document leaked to CoinDesk that actually showed the financials of Alameda Research. And it showed that Alameda supposedly had $14.6 billion of assets as of June 30th. So it probably decreased a lot since June 30th. But here's the thing. Out of the $14.6 billion, more than half, $8 billion of that, was in FTT tokens. Interesting, because FTX issued FTT without needing to spend a dime. They created that out of thin air as, like a utility token. Well, it's supposed to be a utility token, right? But they issued $8 billion worth at that time to Alameda Research to make their balance sheet look really, really good, as if they had $8 billion extra worth of cash. But that's not it, because FTT tokens is not backed one-to-one to dollars. It's backed based on, I guess, the reputation of FTX alone. So that's kind of concerning, because what if FTT token drops? It starts dropping significantly, right? That means FTT would be worthless, and that would mean Alameda would be worthless, and all the money that they have spent investing in other companies, well, you do the math, that would be bad. So ever since this came out, people's been fearful about FTX and Alameda and FBF. And FBF himself, Sam Bankman-Fried, hasn't had the best rep recently because he's been lobbying for more crypto regulations. He believes all DeFi should be regulated. And he's trying to come out with his own crypto laws that he's trying to push forward. So, of course, not a lot of people like that. So he was already in hot waters with many people in the community, right? But it's starting to get worse. Okay, remember the $8 billion I just talked about? Well, people are looking at, if it's $8 billion that they're holding, but the entire market cap of FTT is only worth $3 billion, right? There's a problem there. So you see, it's only worth $3 billion right now, but somehow they have it marked $8 billion. Well, that's concerning, right? That's a negative $5 billion. Now you could see fully diluted market cap, meaning there's FTT tokens that have not been minted and distributed. But even if they did it entire supply, they just minted the remaining amount, it would only add up to $8.1 billion. Okay, so if you do the math, there's just not enough. There's not enough to justify that $8 billion. So that's pretty concerning. And then people started to pay attention to the wallets. And interesting enough, someone just moved 23 million FTT tokens. And it equals about 600 million, okay, right now. It may have gone a little bit lower because FTT token is starting to drop, but, $500 million. So people are speculating who it is. And then they pinpointed that belongs to Binance. And Binance is looking to sell. But CZ, trying to be transparent, he's like, okay, we're not going to speculate. We're just going to tell you. So roughly about 2 hours ago, CZ just tweeted this out. As part of Binance exit from FTX, okay, so Binance is an early investor at FTX. Binance received about $2.1 billion in BUSD and FTT. Due to recent revelations that have come to light, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our books. So that is the 22 million, 23 million FTT. Binance is selling it all. Okay, they're not even trying to hide it. They're like, we don't like what we hear. We don't like what we hear. We'd rather be safe than sorry. We are going to dump it. Now, he did say, in order to minimize market impact, it's going to take them months to complete. So they don't plan on just dumping $600 million worth of FTT on Binance, but they will do it slowly, okay? But the fact that Binance and CZ is worried and just dumping everything shows you that, hey, we got to be careful, right? This year has been bad. We saw Terra collapse. We saw Three Arrows collapse. We saw Celsius collapse. We saw Voyager collapse. We saw many others, even BlockFi kind of collapse, right? So CZ, I forgot what he said. Binance lost like over $1 billion on Luna or something like that. So I think right now he's just like, hey, I better not risk it, right? So that is the latest that's going on right now. And someone else also look on-chain, did kind of like on-chain analysis of it. Remember the $4 billion worth of FTT that remains, right? Or $3 billion, right? The top 50 addresses hold about 98% of the supply. So top 50 hold 98%. That's not very decentralized, right? And then they looked into it further. FTX and Alameda accounts for 74.51% of the overall FTT supply, meaning that the FTT token only went up that much is because Alameda and FTX hold 75%. And who knows if they were buying also to prop up the price. No one was really buying FTT tokens. So, and Binance held about 7.4% of the total supply. And of course, we know they will be selling. So, obviously, that's a large chunk. That's almost 8% of the entire circuit supply that's about to be sold, right? So, yeah, it's not looking good. It's looking worse and worse for FTX. So, I got to warn you guys, before, when I made videos about Celsius and Voyager, people were like, oh, you're just spreading FUD, why are you causing so much FUD? And you can interpret this as causing FUD for FTX, but like I said, with all the downfalls we had this year, it's better to be safe than sorry. So if you have money in FTX or FTT, you may want to watch out for that. So just be careful, safeguard your own crypto, and be very cautious of what's going on with FTX and FTT right now, okay? And while this is circulating, FTT has been going down because I think a lot of people are quite worried. They are down 7% today, and overall, they're one of the only tokens that haven't moved for this past week or month. So be careful, okay? That's all I'm saying. Be careful. And what happens if they do become insolvent? I don't quite know, because Alameda and FTX has been throwing money left and right. They're trying to raise funds for a new round, so most likely they're not going to get jack shit, because Binance pulling out. Everyone's going to be scared about that. What's going to happen with Voyager? They just completed their acquisition of Voyager. So are they still going to give out the 70% that they promised, right? And what about everyone else that they threw money at? They're very connected, maybe even more so than Three Arrows Capital. So hopefully we don't see a Three Arrows Capital kind of moment, because it will be far-reaching. That's for sure. All right, guys. Now, let's talk about some good news. Besides what's going on with FTX, overall, Bitcoin is still holding pretty good, above 21,000. Bitcoin has made no moves to drop below 21,000. We're above that critical resistance that Bitcoin was not able to shatter for a while, and then we did, and we're holding above, so that's good. What could we look forward to next week? Well, we have some big stuff happening next week. We just got done with that press conference from Powell, right? But next week, we have some CPI data release that's coming on Thursday for the U.S., so we'll see how the U.S. markets behave. But the good thing is, last week, even though U.S. markets were not doing good, Bitcoin and crypto continue to creep up and continue to make a trajectory upward. So even if this comes out bad, it could be bad. It could be good for crypto. But if this comes out good and shows that inflation did go down in October, well, that is even better. Okay, so that is something we have to look forward to. And we have midterm elections in the U.S. to look forward to. And why is that important? Because usually after midterm elections, everything starts going up. And that's starting on Tuesday, right? So that all aligns. We have midterm elections, and right after that, CPI data. Imagine if both of them happens. We could have a wild rally, and that's what we need too, is seeing how oversold everything is. You put it all together, it could be absolutely wild next week. So I'm looking forward to that. But in addition to these events, we know that a lot of big institutions, they are not sitting idle. We know that Fidelity just entered in a big way. I take that back. They've been in this space in a big way already, but now it's even bigger because they just released, or they're about to release, their crypto exchange. Commission-free crypto exchange. Think about that from Fidelity. But they're also involved with many things, and when they poll their customers, they all say they either have crypto exposure or want crypto exposure, right? So institutions are just kind of dying to get into space too. They have so much money sitting on the sideline. They're waiting for it, and they're going to FOMO in just like all the retail investors later on, right? Even BNY Mellon, I didn't even know. They're the oldest bank in the U.S. Says 70% of institutional clients will invest if this one thing happens. What's that one thing? More custodian services. So they're saying that basically a lot of these guys, institutions, they want really good custodians, like Fidelity, which is a custodian. Coinbase is a custodian. And all the major banks now, right? Why do you think they're opening custodian services? Because there's more institutions that want to get in, right? And more come in. Apollo, which is a $500 billion asset manager, they're launching their custodian service. So it's happening. It's happening. These are all great things that will drive Bitcoin forward and higher in the future. Just got to be patient about it, right? And the number of Bitcoins holding for over a year, now up to 66.5%. That is a fantastic number. And continues to go higher, you could see. Despite all the up and downs, sometimes that goes down, not because the holders actually sold. It's because newcomers come into the space. So it makes the overall percentage of holders go down, right? So all the dips that you see there are with bull runs and peaks, right? But whenever they go away, guess what happens? You find out that not everyone went away. More stayed, and that's why the number of holders percentage keeps going up every cycle. You could see that. It's like clockwork, right? So with every cycle, this is why Bitcoin's price is higher, because now you have more people holding, more people believing. It's really that simple. All right, so that is all that I want to talk about. What else is going on? Hey, Powerball for U.S. goes up to $1.9 billion. So, I think a lot of people have been playing this. You can earn almost $2 billion if you win this Powerball. So go buy a ticket. At least you have a chance. If you have a ticket, it's like I forgot the odds, 1 in 300 million or something. But if you don't have a ticket, it's 0. So it's better than nothing. All right. So that's pretty much it. Last thing is, today's Sunday, so it's a good day to talk about sports. Got to bring up my sponsor, SORARE. So last week I showed you guys that SORARE is a company out of Paris that is involved with baseball, soccer, which they name football, because around the world it's known as football, and it's probably pretty popular right now with FIFA, and also the NBA. You guys know I like the NBA. So they are a company that combines fantasy sports with NFT cards. Okay, so last week I showed you guys how the concept is, but silly me, I didn't play. So this week I definitely will be joining, but basically when you join, you get a set of cards and you get a set amount of points that you can use to fill your lineup like this. So you have 5 players and you compete with everyone else that's also playing. So for those of you guys that are fantasy nuts, fantasy football, basketball, baseball, soccer, right? You may want to play because it's absolutely free to play. And by entering these tournaments, you will earn free NFT cards, which you could sell in their marketplace. So they're basically playing for free money, okay? That's what it comes down to. So they're common leagues. You have like 30,000 people. There's a couple of them that's going on right now, but you actually earn NFT cards of like a higher tier, which would be the limited, right? And then if you play in the limited leagues, you can earn NFTs of a higher tier, which is rare. And then rare competes for super rare. And some of these cards are going for absolutely crazy money right now. So for example, Kyrie, who is in deep waters right now, but even his card, just the limited card, is going for $80. Those of you guys that are Ben Simmons fans, I saw his card was going for like $30. And that's just a limited. And you could compete for this for absolutely free. But of course, if you go to the rare, it goes up even higher. It goes into the hundreds. And then super rare goes into like even Patty Mills in rares is $223, right? And it goes up and up and up and up. So they have their own marketplace. So you're competing, and also you can collect, and also you could trade these NFT cards. So it's a pretty good setup. Anyways, if you're interested, check it out in the URL of this video. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. What do you mean, even Patty Mills? You know what I mean by Patty Mills. He's a great player, but one that no one cares about. Can George help the Raiders win? No, unfortunately, I cannot. I'm not a big football guy, so I don't even know who's doing good this year. I have no idea. SBF is spending too much too fast. That tends to be the problem for a lot of new leaders that come into some success, and then they feel like they need to expand that success and just get into everything. And that's what it seems like with SBF, right? I don't know. This whole thing with FTX, with Alameda, with the FTT tokens, now with Binance publicly declaring they are selling their stake, right? It's not looking good. So again, earlier this year, I stressed, not your keys, not your crypto. Safeguard your own crypto. Still a great time to be practicing that, to have a ledger or a Treasure, some kind of hardware wallet, right? Or a mobile wallet like Trust Wallet, or any kind of wallet where you control a non-custodial wallet, that you control the private keys, right? And I don't know what this means, honestly, for I don't know what this means for Voyager. So I don't know if they already gave them the money, like, or they didn't. But if they're not gonna buy them, I don't know who will. Truth Seeker says after midterm elections, the opposite will happen. It usually dumps afterwards. We'll see who's right. We'll see who's right. Matter. What happened for the market to crash after midterm elections? Well, someone just said that. You know, the U.S. market, we're looking at crypto right now, which is doing better than the U.S. market, right? U.S. market didn't actually move last week because if it's buy the rumor, sell the news, well, no one bought the rumor. Last week was absolutely horrible for U.S. market, so it didn't rally before midterm elections. So I don't know. If it was like we rallied hard last week, maybe, but we didn't. I guess we'll see. Were you a big Kobe fan? Yes, big Kobe fan. He just couldn't push himself to Jordan level. Very, very close, but his body failed him, you know. But he's the closest thing. What do you think the chances of BSV having any real use? There's no real use. For Bitcoin, okay, I think it's store value. That's the most practical use for it. Store value to replace gold. So any forks of Bitcoin, it will be the same thing. Will BSV or Bitcoin Cash be a store of value? Maybe in a small way, but will it be a better store of value than Bitcoin? No. So that's your answer. I'm pretty sure there's a Cold War between SBF, FTX, and other exchanges. There must be something big we don't know. Well, of course. I mean, they're all in competition, right? But I've been saying this. FTX is as big as they seem. They're not that big. Their volume is fractional bit of Binance's volume. Binance, we know, they're rich because they're so big. People don't realize that you could take the next 10 exchanges, their volumes, 2 to 11, you add the volumes together, and it'd be equal to Binance. That's how big they are, and that includes Coinbase and FTX and everyone else, right? But it was always suspicious to me how FTX got so much money and how they still have so much money. Because all the exchanges, you know, they've been reporting down earnings, user count down, profits down, right? But I've been showing you guys all those liquidations that's been happening. Like 80-90% is all on FTX, right? So why? Why are they all on FTX? And how do they have so much money to throw around at Celsius and Voyager and Robinhood and BlockFi and everyone else in the space? So where's that all coming from, right? So I've always been very suspicious about that. Maybe it's coming from the fact that they can mint out FTT token, and that's how they have their billions. And that's why Alameda Research has so much. So, you know. Welcome to Subway. Would you like your sandwich baked or fried? Lucid Chronicles. I'm glad that comment is hidden, but it's very funny. It helps when you donate millions to this administration. I know, yeah, he's also very political. I think He even backtracked something. He said he was going to spend up to $1 billion in donation campaigns or election campaigns, and then he backtracked saying, "No, that's too much." He said something like that. I don't know. Ian says Coinbase is blocking me from accessing my BTC unless I share personal info to governments. That's Coinbase been asking for KYC information for a long time. Same thing with all the exchanges in the U.S. So it's not just Coinbase. Even Binance.us asked for KYC information. Every single one asked for KYC information. In the U.S., unfortunately, they just want you to know. So, I mean, if you don't want to give that up, you just really want to use DEXs. Use DEXs to trade. But some DEXs are still complying to regulations so that they still will say you can't trade this or that or whatever. So not all DEXs are built equal too. Like my first experience with that was with 1inch, which is a DEX aggregator. And I used to like 1inch a lot because they have their own liquidity pools, but also they use Sushi Swap, Uniswap, Pancake Swap. They use all these swaps. They're a DEX aggregator. But then they kind of turn their own DEX because they have their own liquidity pools. And one time I forgot what I was trying to trade. And it says, you cannot trade because you're in from the US. And I'm like, a DEX is not supposed to tell me that. So I stopped using 1inch afterwards. And that just shows you, like, not all DEXs are equal either. What do you think about the stablecoin, DJED, and Indigo coming to Cardano? I mean, that's been rumored for a while. Not rumored, but been talked about for a while. I know DJED is a big one from Cody. Indigo, I'm not sure who's coming out with that. But, you know, stablecoins, algorithmic ones are not hot anymore, and they may all be shut down by, at least in your U.S. You know, there's a Stablecoin Act, which requires you to have like basically 1-to-1 ratio with cash. So all these that are algorithmic based, they may not survive much longer in the US. Around the world, yes, but in the US, I think they're going to probably go and only allow stablecoins that's backed with cash. So, but as for Cardano itself, gaining stablecoins and growing out their DeFi ecosystem, that's positive. That's positive. Yeah, someone just said Solana. Is Solana down again? I don't know about their network issues. Solana is going down a little bit today. Yesterday had a good day. Today coming down a little bit. A lot of things coming down a little bit today, but overall we hardly moved. Yesterday was 1.06 trillion. We're at 1.05 trillion. So crypto overall is holding pretty strong. Josh, appreciate that. Aptos and Solana will go down too. Yeah, see, Aptos is invested by FTX. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, FTX is really ingrained in a lot of projects. Kind of like Three Arrows Capital. They put a lot of money in a lot of projects, especially Solana. Solana is their, like, kind of like their baby. This is the reason why I don't think there's an FTX chain. Like, you know, Binance chain or KuCoin chain or all these chains, Kronos chain, right, by the exchanges. I think the reason why FTX doesn't have a chain is because of Solana. SBF backed Solana like crazy and made a lot of money with them too. Josh. Thank you twice. I haven't done a deep dive on Casper yet. I mean, first glance they look legit. They look promising. But I need to do a deeper dive to see if there's something to it that really stands out. I mean, to be honest, this day and age, there's so many L1s and L2s, and so many of them do look promising. Sometimes it's just, it's hard to know which one is go pop, which one's not. But yeah, I'll get to it eventually. Is RSR considered a stable coin? Yes, it's a stable coin that's backed by 5 stable coins or something like that. Like they're using 5 stable coins to peg the value of a RSR token. I've never liked RSR. I just thought that was a silly concept. Rich, buddy, appreciate it. Charles posted a whiteboard video about decentralization of Twitter. I've been hearing that a lot, how he's really trying to convince Elon to do something with Twitter and bring it onto Cardano or bring Doge on to Cardano. He's throwing ideas left and right for Elon. I don't think Elon is taking any of those seriously. I don't think Elon, he has more worries right now. Advertisers leaving and stuff like that, and everyone's calling him out about his $8, which he does not care about. I mean, he's worrying. He has a lot to worry about. So I doubt he's gonna try to do anything drastic and move anything to Cardano at this point. Jordan, how do you take profits in Ledger? For example, Matic.Atom, there's no swap option. Well, they just partner up with Binance, so pretty soon you'll see Binance on Ledger Live. Otherwise, you can interact with DEXs, right? So then you could swap. There's many things you could do. It may be more cumbersome. Maybe you have to, transfer to a MetaMask before you swap on a DEX, right? But then after you're done, then put it back. Now, Ledger does support I think they do support every ERC20 token, but for other tokens, for other chains, they might not support all of them. So most likely you're going to have to use a couple different wallets, not just one. But Ledger has been, expanding the chains that they support. So they got most of the good ones. Carl, appreciate it. Yeah, that EQE that I just posted on Drivers Only. I don't expect that video to do well because I don't think anyone knows about that car. But it's a nice car. But yeah, the visibility in that car was bad, especially the rear visibility. But overall, the car is not bad. It's funny. It's the only car I've ever reviewed where they don't want you to open the hood. Because I was trying to figure that out for a long time, and then I finally saw that they didn't want you to. But that's the only car that I've ever reviewed that did not allow you to open the hood of your car. Mr. Corey, any tips on SORARE MBA? Well, you kind of got to know. You kind of got to follow the NBA, right? So every week you have because the tournaments are once per week. So you have to kind of know like who's playing, how the players are they on a hot streak, are they not on a hot streak, right? So you kind of have to follow them. I mean, you could be lucky, right? It's just for fun. It doesn't cost you anything, but if you start getting those limited cards and you start playing the higher leagues, or you buy these NFT cards and play in the higher leagues, then the stakes go up a lot more, right? I think it's just, for me, I just found it interesting because I like fantasy sports. I don't really have a lot of time for it, but I like the NBA. I like fantasy sports, so I think it's a really good way to get involved, right? And it's a fun way to get involved and still be able to make money with it. SEC declares Polkadot DOT token to be software today. So they're saying it's not a commodity. I didn't see that. 2 days ago. No. No. Polkadot made that statement. Not SEC made that statement. Web 3.0 Foundation makes bold claim that SEC data is not security mirror software. No. Jaleel, you got it wrong. Polkadot declared that, not the SEC. SEC, I don't think SEC is going to do that. SEC doesn't want to recognize anything. They just want to, they want to declare everything as security. So they're not going to recognize anything else beyond that. They believe everything is security, and that way they can control everything. Yeah, that's how I view it. Gary wants power. The more power, the better. So you think Atom will succeed in replacing bridges? Seems like bridge gets hacked often. It could, but I don't see every chain hooking up to Cosmos. So yes, they could serve that purpose, but no, it's probably not going to happen. Belly, I think that's right. I think they don't want to be associated with them. But you could see from the verbiage here, right? Due to recent revelations, right? So that shows he's concerned. He could have just said, you know, hey, we're selling it off. Don't worry about it. We want to dissociate ourselves. But the fact that he threw in that clause right there, due to recent revelations, which means he thinks there's something to it, right? And if this was fake, I would think that SBF, if that like balance sheet that was released was fake, I think SBF would have took a lawsuit against CoinDesk, but he didn't, which means it's probably true, which means that most Alameda, most of their holdings is just FTT tokens. And if FTT tokens collapse to nothing, then Alameda is going to collapse and everything's going to collapse. So that's no good. That's no good. You know, the only exchange that I could recall that came out with so many tokens to solve their liquidity problems, yet they're still around and no one talks about, is Bitfinex. Bitfinex came out with 3 different tokens already, and yet they still operate. And yet people just ignore the fact that they created tokens only to solve their liquidity issues, right? But somehow they got away with it, and it's just accepted. But I still don't trust Tether that much. Yeah, no one talks about Leo token. Leo token is also by Bitfinex. And then they had another token before Tether. I forgot what it's called. I don't think it was listed on CMC, but if FTX goes down, will it bring the market down like CryptosRUs? I hate to say it, I think so. I think it will. So it's not something that we really wish for. Maybe they just slowly divest or something, or part from some of their investments, but I don't think we want a CryptosRUs moment, because SBF is very, very invested in a lot of projects. And if his investments are all paid using, let's say, FTT tokens, and FTT goes under, that would bring down bad. That would bring down a lot of projects pretty badly. So hopefully it doesn't happen. It probably will cause some stuff to happen, though. Here's the thing. Back in May, when things fell down hard, a lot of things happened at the same time. CryptosCapital fell, and then you had the miners. Now it turns out one of the big miners sold, right? So was it really CryptosCapital that brought everything down, or the miner? Or maybe it's a combination. So we don't know. So my point is, if let's say FTX goes under, is it really going to cause that big of effect? Yeah, don't know. Don't know. All right, guys. That is it. I'll let you get back to your football or soccer, whatever one, wherever you are. But, you know, the whole thing about FTX Alameda is scary. And you need to be careful about your own funds, especially now. I mean, we had like 5 companies collapse this year, right? So be careful with your funds. Let's see what happens with FTX. Let's see how SBF responds to this. But CZ obviously was so concerned that he decided that he needs to sell. So that tells you something, all right? Now, as for the rest of this week, good things are coming. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight, I'll be releasing another weekly recap video. Some of you guys enjoyed it, the one I posted last Sunday. So I will post another one this Sunday. So look forward to that as well. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.